So we're recording the meeting now. This is the TRC meeting for December 5th, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 21st, 2024?
I'd like to make that motion.
Motion from Kevin, second from Barry. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no one. Motion carries. Next, we'll go into our TRC case. The only thing we have is a review of parcel number 502-127001770303013. And this case is unusual in that we just want the technical review committee to review this for this particular parcel for buildability. This parcel is for sale, and both the seller and some interested parties in buying this parcel would like to make sure that it's buildable before it's sold. So we have to look at this. The parcel is a very unusual shape, to say the least.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to make this call as building commissioner as far as buildability on this parcel. So that's why I've asked the technical review committee to get together so we can look at this. To start with, let's get the facts of the property. As you can see, you've got something in front of you. I've got it on the TV also. We have nobody online. So as you can see on these papers here, you can have that other set.
Yes, sir.
On these papers here in front of you, that it's an odd shaped property. It's like a hockey stick or
Is that the light
something.
blue?
That's the light blue shape on there. And it goes out to the lake.
Yeah.
At the lake, we'll call it 23.5 feet wide.
Oh.
So you'll see multiple strips of land. One in the picture, we'll say to the left or to the east, and then strips at least 2-3 strips to the east or to the right of what we're talking about. These strips, in my opinion, and I'm going to ask your opinions, were clearly put in strictly so people can have access to the lake. These strips were put in there for lake access. We'll not talk about this one. We'll talk about the strips to either side of it for now. They're not buildable. They don't have, it would not be possible to build on these.
You're talking about which one? The dark blue on the right?
So I'm talking, first of all, we'll look at this one.
This one? Yeah.
You can't build on this.
No.
This one here, you can't build on this.
I did.
No, this is just, this is off season in this picture. So what you've got is
Storage.
the piers and things stored here right now, off season. So the stuff is pulled out of the water. So nobody's built, there's no buildings here on these, okay?
Okay. Do they want to build right off?
So,
Hold on a minute.
so,
No, they can't.
so they can't. So on this, you can't build on the,
No.
you can't build on this strip here.
No.
None of these are buildable in this area. That's just not possible. At 23.5 foot wide,
Can't put it out.
it's just not possible. So looking at this strip here, Kevin and I discussed this a little bit, and it appears, and I really like Kevin brought this up, that it appears when this lot was cut out here, that this strip right here was just put in for access. It wasn't designed to be a lake lot. It was designed as an access to the lake. And what I'm looking for is everyone else's thoughts on that, first of all.
And when were these divided?
Don't know. It was a long time ago. When I say a long time ago, there's a soil survey that was done on this property, and sometime between In the fifties and early eighties, this was all filled in.
Prior to any ordinance.
Most likely. This was all marshland or low ground and it was filled in at that time. The soil survey says it's been filled in with wood, dirt and gravel and sand.
Okay.
The water table in this area is at lake level, which I think it says is maybe 7 feet down. So it's all been filled in.
Okay.
So if you put a basement in, most of the basement's probably going to be above ground.
But none of these have any access other than the lake.
So you have access, this lot here has access to here.
Right.
This lot here has access right here, and this lot also has access from South Shore Drive. All these other lots have access off South Shore Drive.
Except for that one.
No, well, this lot's got access here. These other lots have access on South Shore Drive.
This one,
So this one is owned by the people in this house here.
but it's actually recorded as a lot here.
So it is part of the parcel. Let's see. It has its own parcel number,
Exactly.
but it is,
No access.
but it's owned by the people and no, it has no access.
Right.
You're correct. And it's so tiny, I'm struggling with it right now.
What did they want to do with this property?
They want to sell that property.
Well,
they're looking at.
They want to sell it and build on it.
But they
so-
already had the access.
This little piece you're talking about, Barry, is this parcel here and these things?
Now, those have access, that little big sliver, I mean, that's not, that could be combined, but,
Those are all owned by the people that live in this house.
right,
They would not be able to split those off and sell them.
no, they have to add them to the other property.
Yeah, so those are pretty much nothing right now.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this parcel here.
Right.
It's for sale. I'm struggling with getting that
Could it be
up.
built on down here?
Can be.
Well, that's.
So here's the problem.
Hold the thought just for a second.
You guys have got a great thought.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. Let's assume this here is just an access. So we wouldn't call that the front yard, would we, if that's access? Where would you call the front yard?
I don't know.
Right, well, if the house is here and they're facing the road, front yard would be here, wouldn't it?
Well, now,
All right, hold on, let me.
But the other houses, this house next door is fronting on this road right here.
let's walk through this just for a second.
Well, where's the road?
Right there.
This is a private road right here.
Oh, okay.
And this house next door
Oops, sorry.
fronts on this house, and there's one more house over
Yeah,
that fronts on this is called South Side Drive.
okay,
This house and this house front on this road here.
okay.
So Chester and Barry, in order to be considered lakefront property, the minimum length of shoreline that you have to own is 75 foot.
Yeah,
Well,
I
what
took that
our ordinance is 50 feet, minimum,
A 50-foot minimum?
50 feet according to,
no,
No.
well, that's their gut.
Let's see, public sewer minimum lot size.
10,800.
So it is 50.
Okay,
Lot frontage is 50 feet. Okay.
that's 50 foot. I apologize.
They're still short. I was thinking 75, so that's.
Yeah, so they're half the size of what would be considered to be lake frontage
yeah,
by our own ordinance.
Yeah.
So I don't think you, and this is where I'm asking you, Chester and Barry, I don't think you consider this property lakefront property.
Right,
no.
and there's some words here, let me find it here. That it talked about. It says here on, Lake District is established specifically for property having lake or channel frontage and property located in close proximity thereto, which provided, we know all that.
Mhm.
It says for the few L1 zone parcels without lake or channel frontage, the front yard is street. Now, I didn't know we had an L1 property that did not have that.
We do, we have several.
It says the few. The front yard is the street side and the rear yard is that opposite of the street.
We have several properties that are L1 that are not on. the
Yeah.
lake.
So would you consider this technically as lake frontage, given the definition of 50 foot?
No,
So we are in agreement, because I don't think you consider this frontage. Access is different than frontage, correct? You can have an access to the lake without owning frontage.
right.
Okay. So now, thank you for reading that, because by definition in the ordinance, if the frontage in an L1 isn't the lake, then it's what? It's the road access road nearby. So we consider that road
Street side, yes.
street side up on top there because he's not adjacent to South Shore.
So let's double check something on the property next door. I might have misspoke that that's South Side Drive. So what's the address on that one?
644 South Shore.
So their frontage, their actual house is on South Shore. Their front of their house is on this road here. So they don't have enough frontage on South Shore Drive.
Would that be their frontage then, wouldn't it? Not the
That would be the
access.
frontage.
And
They still don't have enough frontage on
What,
South.
Is it 27.5 feet there?
It is plus 10. That little angle there. So you have 37.5 feet of frontage.
that's it. What is this buffer between them and South Shore? Is that an easement or
Yeah, I was in that same place.
So let's bring it out a little bit and see.
right there? Click on that. Because if they're being blocked by somebody else's property, then we have to consider that their frontage.
Looks like right away.
It is right away. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay,
But what's this one too? That's right away.
okay.
Right away to the south.
So we have to, then Chester was right, and that South Shore is gonna be their access. That's their front yard.
So when we look at that,
We got a real problem now. We didn't see that. I didn't see that.
But it can still be considered L1.
it's still L1 because that's what it's zoned. We can't change the zoning. But they have 37.5 foot of frontage now.
37 or 27?
37.
It's because you
I
got,
can't see it. I'm sorry.
but they've got, you can't hardly make it out, but they've got 27.5 and then 10 feet it says right here. It's really dark, but there's a little
Does that
10 foot
lot
right there.
touch South Shore?
Oh, I got you on that little.
This lot
yeah,
here.
thanks.
It's an easement through here right away, whatever.
Oh,
And I don't know if that's private or
where's South Shore Drive?
South Shore Drive right here.
Oh, this is
This
it.
is South Shore Drive.
Okay, all right. So they don't touch South Shore Drive.
They don't even touch South Shore Drive.
Well, because of that right away.
But this is the right of way. Through here.
So it's still okay. It's still a
They
public
can
right
get
of
in
way.
there.
So they still have access to the right,
Yeah, through that public right away.
right here.
Okay. Oh,
So they're sitting at 37. So technically their front yard is 37, their frontage is 37.5 feet, correct?
Correct.
What's the minimum frontage that we have to have there?
It's 50 feet on L1 on the. It doesn't define it whether it's gotta be.
It would be 50 foot of shoreline, so can we assume that the frontage has to be 50 foot in L1? Because that would be the normal, right? If you want to, is that correct, Steve, assumption?
It says, I just read 50 feet.
Zone L1, any access as far as front yard
It's
is,
50 foot.
it doesn't say front yard, but. front
So we're
yard
gonna
is
need a
fine.
variance there
They're gonna
if they
need
want to build.
a variance either way, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
just establishing what we're determining as
Right.
facts. So right now, what I'm hearing us say, just because this is a sticky wicket, as the British would call it.
Right.
This is not lake frontage. We agreed on that because it's too small of a, it's an access, not a frontage.
Mhm.
Because of that reason, we went to South Shore and established the frontage for this property based upon our ordinance, and Barry read it.
Okay.
And based upon what the next door neighbor had
And exactly.
as front.
And by doing that, we've established the frontage to be 37.5 feet. And therefore in need of variance for building.
Correct.
Okay, so we're there. That's good.
So
That's,
it's gotta be 50 feet, not 37 and a half.
that's exactly right. So we're gonna need a 12.5 foot variance on that.
So now can we look at one other thing? Let's look at what the address is of somebody across the street. And did they use this other one? So what's their address? I can't read.
There's South Shore Drive.
616 South Shore Drive.
So they're all using South Shore Drive. They're not using South Side Drive, are they?
No.
So,
So what the hell are those properties intended to be? Because they're not even pretending like they exist. When they give their address, they're not even acting like those exist. And I'm going to venture to say that South Shore Drive existed prior to these being divided. You asked the question, when were these lots
is this
created?
South Shore Drive too? They're all.
I think these lots were probably created an address before these lots were, or these parcels were divided off.
Me too.
Those addresses suggest those homes existed, at least in cottages, on South Shore Drive prior to those parcels being created.
But
Maybe,
But this is all
Let me go back
backfill.
to one question here, though.
understand that.
With all
This
these
is
other
weird.
properties that we looked at on the range, okay, are those all owned by the same people that are?
No. No. This is owned by somebody different and this is owned by somebody different.
I'm gonna tell you,
So who owns this right here? So no,
That's South Shore Drive.
so Burns owned that one? Crap. I'm sorry, but
You've been around a long time, Barry. I think here's what's happened. People used to put those cottages back on the lake.
Exactly,
They would access it through South Shore and then park.
exactly.
What they did was those cottages existed, and according to the core samples, those cottages probably existed before all this was backfilled.
Oh, I'm sure.
okay.
I'm sure.
And so what happened was when they backfilled them, what they did was they created a bunch of new parcels.
Correct.
After this, and that's what you got. And that's why these homes originally, when they were cottages, were addressed to where? South Shore Drive. I'm betting, but I don't know that
Oh,
for a fact.
I agree. 100%.
okay. I'm just wondering, and believe me, I know I'm playing loose and fast, but just given the details that are presented here, that would make sense.
And it would not be up to us to do the archaeology of this property.
I mean, what we come down to, we got grandfathered lots. But under our new ordinance, since there wasn't any house on those properties,
The new ordinance applies,
the new ordinance applies.
100%. I agree with that statement.
So we need a South Shore address on this.
And the reason I was asking about the ownership, because, you know, if they happen to put that on there and it blocks anything else from happening, the other blocks from access anyway.
So nobody's blocked from access. All of these parcels have access that have separate owners. Now, the one that own these ones that are blocked, landlocked, if you will,
Yeah,
they're owned by this house over here.
right, but the properties are still landlocked.
They are, but they're owned by a common person. They can never be sold.
We're also creating an addressing issue because we're blocking the properties that are addressed on South Shore Drive from the actual South Shore Drive, which is already in existence.
But it's already, the
The
property's
conflict's
already.
already in
Right. We
existence,
can't
yeah.
change the address, but we can.
No.
We can't do that. So this is an unaddressed property.
Mhm.
Somebody tried giving it an address in an email to me and I said, no.
Nice try.
I said, there's no address.
Do we know the square footage on that?
We do not. I haven't seen that.
It's such an irregular lot. I mean.
I'd hate to.
Irregular lot,
calculate
but I
the-
mean,
Oh,
I
God.
just wanted to meet the 10,800 square feet. I know we don't have a proper frontage to the lot,
It's a fair question that somebody else can calculate
but,
for us.
but the lot size at the same time, I mean, we went through this.
We don't have to provide it. They need to. That's
So
exactly
here's
what we-
a
we need to
question. I think that's an excellent question. What part of the lot do we need to know the actual, it's gonna meet it if we count this access part.
You'd have to add it as part of the property. You can't.
I would believe it. I've got to believe it's gonna meet it if you add the access part. to it.
Yeah.
So now you're left with this part. So we know we don't meet frontage. We're gonna assume for now that it meets square footage.
Mhm.
because that tail for access. We can't, nobody else has, so we can't use this as frontage. Right?
Right.
Because nobody else did it, they wouldn't get to do it either, if,
Well,
or would they?
it would almost have to be, oh, still. It would have to be South Shore though, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Not South Side.
because we're really contradicting our ordinance if we consider the lake frontage. I mean, and by the way, they will hate us at tax time, so that, anyway,
Well,
we
that's the
won't go
whole
there.
thing too. You jump that one tax it.
Mhm.
And if they're selling that property, trying to get that buildable, are they doing it because?
I know exactly why they're doing it,
Yeah,
because they're reaping benefits of both worlds. They get lake access without paying lake taxes. And it's the same thing why they built West Circle and deeded those across the lake. But anyway,
But they're not L1.
no, they're not.
This is L1,
That's
so
why-
they're still Lake.
That's why my mom moves.
well, that was the reason I was looking for the square footage.
Yeah,
If it doesn't meet the zoning standard, you can't get a variance to get a zoning change. I mean, there's no way you come forward and get a zoning change just for.
The
If it's
square
been
footage
size.
of the lot, you know, is, even if it, now you got a strip there, you could match the square footage of the lot with a 20-foot wide strip, you know.
Yeah, 100
feet or whatever.
I think I get what you're saying, Chester. They're gonna pass muster when it comes to the square footage of the lot. The problem is, if they try to build on that, doesn't mean they're gonna be able to match the setbacks.
That's right.
So I 100% agree with that. And Steve and I have been talking long and hard about the setbacks on this thing and where they're gonna need their variances if they wanna build and how big they could build.
And Steve, I got a question for you. It's, where would the high water mark be on it? They filled it up, but where is the high water mark at on that property?
That's adorable. That's not good. Yeah, they'll come back probably about 10 foot off the shoreline. Maybe.
I have to move
I
this
don't
back
know
over
that.
to, I can't see it on that screen, so hang on a
Because I
second.
mean, I know when you get over in that area right there, high water mark don't necessarily come straight from the lake.
Oh, wait, no.
I mean, it's gotta be cut back through all that.
You know, Chester, I hadn't thought to look at that, but I'm glad you brought that, or Chester, Barry. Let me go see if I can find environmental on
It's
here,
actually a good question too.
contours. Okay,
I mean, we're going for 10-foot setbacks here, 10-foot setbacks there, but. I mean, all.
so here's your contour marks. So
Could put a building about
you can't do it.
Well,
Oh, hell, is that red line it?
that red line's it.
That red line says 736.
Yeah.
So it's 735.48 is the high water mark.
So you're right on top of the watermark there.
But right here,
Yeah.
so the only thing that's actually buildable.
You can't even get
Is
anything in
25
there.
feet from this line.
Nope.
So I don't know where the high water mark 735.48 because they've got half a foot
Right,
essentially.
You got, but you're still talking this area, but you're still wanting to talk, all right, and this is the access here, we're gonna have 25 feet here. And it's still gonna be 25 feet maximum high water mark, right?
Well, you think they would show it on there. You're raising, that's gotta drop down towards lake at least half foot.
Yeah,
I mean,
but are we talking, I mean, we almost need a measurement from somewhere in this area.
how high are, nah, go back a little bit. Because in order to get, okay, so let's play the devil's advocate here a little bit. So is the lot size for buildable considered the total parcel or what they can build on?
What they actually could build on, but not, we're talking about whether it's buildable or not.
If they can build on.
Yeah, we're discussing two separate issues here. Is this lot buildable?
Because right now,
No.
you're talking, all right, it's roughly 37, let's say 37 feet to right here. All right, 37 feet, and then you're gonna have to have another, what?
I'll tell you
25 feet
what,
right in here
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can,
There's nothing that we've talked about here that matches the requirements of the L1 district.
So we know where 734 is right to the lake, and that's not buildable. So you have to start measuring from 735 feet.
I think that's right here, here. We're not looking at
Oh,
that.
I guarantee they built that up.
Yeah,
Looking at that contour.
but all these trees and stuff in here, I'm sure they didn't build this up. This is all built from here over. All of it.
I mean, you're sitting at 738 there.
We have to. know
That
what
doesn't
it
follow. Look at that drop. You're dropping 2 foot right here,
No.
down to 738.
Well, we don't know where the
36.
We don't know where the
735.48 is, so we
No.
can't say that.
No,
There's no way.
No,
to-
there's not, because this could go totally flat, but if you walk out there and you see I mean, you can tell a foot drop.
it should be.
It does drop from there. I mean, it absolutely drops.
I know.
It
I've been out
has-
there enough to know.
Well,
I've been at that house next
734
door is building.
You gotta know. I mean, you're talking half a foot here.
You're talking only 2 feet from here.
He drops half a foot and he's done. Buildable one.
There's
And here's-
nothing,
I mean, how far would you have to come back?
So there's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
nothing that matches.
This is why I bring you all together.
And by the way, if you take a look at his plan up against here, so let's just rough this in. Here's your choke point right in here, right? So this is his proposed new house. Yeah. And that's building a smaller house than he initially, right?
Now, let's see, here's the corner.
There's the
He's
corner.
back here,
He's right in here.
yeah,
He's right in here because he's
No.
he's before that bottleneck. So
yeah.
he's right here,
Yeah,
somewhere, I think, Chester.
No.
Just guessing.
Well,
that's
if you look
my
at-
answer. to
No,
this.
yeah, no, I think I'm starting to tend to agree. I think Steve and I had a problem with some of this, but we're bringing some new concerns to light that we hadn't factored in. First of all, we got 50 foot instead of 75, which actually helps him because he's not that far off, but this high water mark thing, that's a good catch.
Nothing, nothing that we've talked
already
about
had it.
matches the requirements for L1.
Yeah, I mean, the frontage is gonna be South Shore. We've established that today, so we'll at least have that. Cause we gotta go back to these guys and explain why
Well,
this
the
is.
South Shore problem is not, as far as the address where it goes to, not. the
Yeah, we
problem.
could give a variance for that
It's
front
the
yard.
problem whether or not, it's not zoned as L1 now.
It is that one.
It is L1. So he could probably get a variance for that front yard, but that high water mark, you're not gonna get around
Variance
that
to
one.
do what?
Well, put a tiny house in there,
Well, what you see is what they're thinking they want to do right
at
now.
2,400
That
square
other
foot
page.
home. Actually, he proposed something bigger than this, 2,500 square now.
Jeez. Their best bet would be to buy the lot. Next to it.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean,
So let me kind of recap a little bit for a moment here. To start with, thanks, because this is why I wanted
Oh, definitely.
a technical review, and this is really what we're here for. So right now, they have to have a South Shore address.
yes,
Everybody else has one.
agreed 100%.
And they're at 37 and a half feet, and it's required to be 50 feet. So if they wanted that, it would require variance,
12.5 foot variance. Yeah.
because all homes have it.
But they're,
We want to know what the square footage of the lot is. We're not clear on that.
right.
Okay.
Setbacks. So we have the high water mark, 735.48. We have 736 going right through where the house is at, right? Proposed house would be at.
Right in the middle.
So we need a drawing that shows us the contours where 735.48 is, because they have to be 25 foot from that.
Yep.
Right.
So they're gonna need to give us more information, because we don't have enough. So right now, there's no way.
Insufficient evidence.
We don't have enough information, and right now,
Not even
with
close.
what we have, we would not even consider this
Mhm.
as a buildable lot.
No.
Right.
They couldn't even come before for a variance on the front yard.
Absolutely not.
Even without the. simple-
Well, because we don't know how big a variance they're gonna need. Well, we do on the front, but
We
the
do.
side,
Where,
yeah.
where would the front yard be on this?
It would have to be South Shore. It would have to be the road where
It
you
would have to
initially
be-
pointed out,
It'd have to be at the.
where you
the right
initially
one.
pointed, yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Is
Yeah.
that where the front yard is for the other home?
Yes, that's how they're oriented. Ironically, behind this proposed house, they're addressed to South Shore too. So all of these homes, for whatever reason, have that as a frontage,
Yeah.
or at least address it. I don't know about frontage.
That's what their address
Their
is.
address is, but that.
So
doesn't
your,
make it-
your frontage, if you're built on the lake, is
Is
the
the
lake.
lake,
But
yeah,
their address, not necessarily.
that's exactly what, I just said,
I
yeah.
mean, everything on East Shore,
I
But
can
we've
play with
decided
you.
this is not a lakefront property,
That's right,
so its frontage has to be on South
that's
Shore.
exactly right.
right?
And everyone has a South Shore address anyhow. South side is nothing less than an alley. Nobody has an address on that South Side Drive. It's an alley,
We can't
a
grant,
private alley.
that's it. We can't grant a variance to allow them to call themselves a lakefront. They can't, we can't do that.
It's called L1.
Yeah, that's it.
It's in an L1
Yeah.
district, but it's not.
Well, yeah,
like-
there's, even if we can't entertain that because we'll go down a bad road if we start granting variances for that.
I mean, we've already got
And they'll get hit on tax.
more properties.
Yep.
Kind of like this one right here already existing too.
You know what
Yeah.
this really, I think, guys, I think it's brought before us because people are looking for affordable ways of getting lake frontage without having to buy.
What's been done?
Of course it has. I mean,
Look
when
at
the
this.
railroad went out, oh my God, it was a free for all.
Look at West Circle.
Agreed.
I mean, that right there should never been allowed.
No, when South Street lost its railroad, those properties, Burl Schaefer benefited the most. Because when those railroad tracks were pulled out, that became a hotbed for building. Guys got in there and bought those properties, condos bought up. And
I mean, you still got owners.
so we've got,
You got owners.
this is
Want
just
that,
somebody
yeah.
trying to get on the lake without having to pay for it.
Right.
I mean, in some ways, and I don't begrudge
So
them
what,
that.
so what, all that aside.
Yes, sir.
Right now, and this isn't a vote or no vote situation, it's just, this is not a buildable lot.
Until they can provide evidence.
We
that
don't
it
have
is.
enough information to
It's
make this a
not-
buildable lot.
It's not available at this time.
Right.
I'm gonna phrase it a little differently. I'm gonna say I don't have the required evidence to know if this lot even has any potential of housing a structure on it.
Right.
The three things that Barry has mentioned in Chester that I've heard today, the first one is, where's the high water mark? That's the first thing that has to be satisfied, because if they can't prove that they've got, the second thing is square footage of the lot itself. We think it's gonna be, but let's make sure.
Yeah.
And the third thing I need to establish is if they accept that South Shore has to be their frontage, what are the other variances they're gonna be asking for because of that?
Well, that's not a matter of except South Shore is their front.
No, it is their frontage. Now I need to understand, because what we're looking at is a plan, an idea of a house that doesn't represent South. So I don't know what the back or the side setbacks are gonna be now.
Your setbacks.
So those
are
three
really
things have,
in the air right now.
so,
So what was your number two?
the square footage, or square
Yeah.
footage of the area, lot area. And then after those two are determined, now you gotta provide a house plan that honors those that don't require ridiculous variances. So those are the three steps to prove, and they have to bring that to us before we can even answer whether, and just because they do, doesn't require us to say, oh yeah, that's buildable.
It sounds like, to me, like this lot is being sold just for the money.
And
Are we being
would
recorded?
yeah,
Forget the.
well, I don't think the person selling the lot is considering what the person buying it wants to do.
Yeah.
I don't think those two align, nor should they, right? What we just need to establish is an order of things going on here.
You can see that.
The lot is for sale for approximately $1.2 million.
What'd you say?
The lot is for sale for approximately $1.2 million.
That's cheap.
There's- That little, but that all aside,
Right.
I would love to
I know you were gonna ask, that's why I'm just letting you know.
But into a larger implication, this will answer the question whether or not those little cardboard lots are even buildable.
Mhm. There's
And-
questions that have to be.
And let's keep in mind that this is not a natural occurring piece of geography. This is spill.
Yeah.
And that runs its own set of concerns when
One
you
more
start building.
concern too that I've got, and it just opened the door for one thing. Right now, we use that line of sight as far as what is built toward the lake.
Mhm.
Now, this is L1, that requirement is still gonna be there as far as line of sight or whatever. And this person that owns this property, even though he's got an address back here, he has got lake access.
Yeah,
But- And you come across and it does have the lake next to their property, which if they do combine all this other on the side,
yeah.
they would have that to where they want to build anything, depending on the high water.
So for now, their building there would have no impact on anyone's line of sight, only their own.
Right, but in the future,
But in the future,
let me just explain something, so you'll see what I'm talking about. Right there on, going over the hill by the landing, all right? You got, not by the landing, but by the spillway,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You got the house on the left side of the road,
Mm-hmm.
all right?
when you say left, give me a direction.
All right, just coming past the cemetery, you got South Shore going to the left, right?
Mm, South Street,
South Street,
going to the left.
okay, all right. When they built that house there, they couldn't go down toward the lake. They had to be 60 feet from the lake because it's a line of sight due to the people that live on the other side, back on the hill above that spillway.
Yes, where they're building now. Yes.
And they couldn't put it down there due to that property being way up on the hill, because when you use line of sight, you went from that property way up on the hill because it had L1 frontage across the road.
Across from the road, they bought the old railroad track
They had the
over there. They got that. That's exactly right.
And that house was required to get a variance due to our ordinance
Mhm.
on the line of sight.
That new house that was built there
I
Okay,
don't want to get the same issue
with this
with
Burns
the
house.
same property.
Does this block the Burns house's line of sight to the lake?
which Burns house?
Oh,
The one that's in the back of there, right?
Show me which way you're talking about.
Is this blocking the line of sight for them?
The heck?
Dry.
it was blocking the house where it was before, where they had to go by it because of the line of sight.
Because here's the road, here's the Burns house, and if they put this house here, they're blocking the line of sight. I think.
That's not L1, the one left, so
It's not?
They're suburban.
Okay, never mind, then it doesn't matter.
It would,
No, you were making a great point. That's why I
Yeah.
wanted to look.
Yep. That's exactly, so we confirm that it's not a line of sight issue.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
No, it was a great point.
yeah, it is. I was thinking that was still L1 because they had access, but that doesn't necessitate it.
and my opinion, my point on the other would be affected either way. So
No, I'm glad,
Right,
again,
I would just
it's gotta be
make sure.
brought up.
I want to make.
But does the Burns house connects to the lake with access, correct?
Correct.
So do we necessarily?
Which house? This one?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have access.
They don't have access.
That's fine.
But guess who their family is? This other Burns.
I figured.
That's what I was wondering, because it said Burns, Pamela.
That's beautiful.
I believe, I can't say for certain. I believe they're all,
Why the hell don't the Burnses just buy all that property? We don't. Kidding.
well, they own this one here, so
I know.
I'm not sure why they're selling this, but that's their
That's their
business.
prerogative.
Yeah.
That's not our.
But they still, they don't have, yeah, they got access to everything there except for that other couple lots there on the right.
Mhm.
I mean, this is a really something really unique. Most certainly so.
It will sell, providing
Well,
the buyer.
everything will
doesn't have
sell,
This information that we're coming up with right now.
but we're gonna have to have some
I
clarification
mean, they can
to,
sell what they want to, but.
Yeah.
We can't stop them from selling, but
the question is it buildable?
That's the question.
that's the question.
So let me recap again. I think we'll go down to Kevin's bullet points is where's the contour specifically, where is the 735.48 high water mark
Right.
in relation to what they want to build?
Appreciate Barry bringing that.
What is the actual lot area?
Mhm.
And the South Shore frontage is not there. It's gonna have to be where the frontage is, because everybody else has South Shore as their address.
Cause they barely got where they built it over here, barely got the 734 here. Right?
Well, yeah,
I mean, we're talking high water mark here at 734. And here at 736, we don't know where it is right here.
but we
We're
don't,
dry out right now.
Chester.
Cause it happened.
It's just dry.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
In the concern of Chester bleeding out, is there any more? I think
So we have enough points for me to
I
go
think
back
so.
with the parties that are concerned about this.
I think, yeah,
And, I can reply to them.
I mean. We
Yeah.
need them to bring in a lot of this information
Yeah, 100%.
before tech review committee.
Yeah, well, we'd have to reconvene with.
But you can communicate this back to them and that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we can get that.
At this
information-
time, we don't have enough information to say that it's buildable.
Not at all.
I mean, right now with the information we've got, we don't say it's not. But
Yeah.
And let me, before we close, let me say thank you. This is the technical stuff that why the technical review committee exists. To get this input and have all these perspectives on something.
And I mean, I know in the past, prior to our technical review committee, we've had property on the West Shore that has been divided without coming before planning commission or anything. It was done through the county.
Yep.
Not through,
Yep. And a lot of backfilling in that way.
because
too.
we've got, the square footage was approved by a pre-existing building commissioner. That this was shot through.
Well,
All right.
once again, when something is this complicated on a lot, appreciate your input. I do not want to make
Yeah.
this decision
There
by
was no-
myself.
There was no staff, believe in you.
I know
Or in
that.
anybody in particular, because I don't know who did.
Yep, I know that and I appreciate it. So, thank you all. Any other questions, concerns? If not,
I'll move to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Got to go make a phone call.
We're
boy.
adjourned.
I
Thank you.
appreciate all your concerns on it too.
Yeah. That's kind of fun when we get together and can come up with all that knowledge. Nice job, guys. I learned a couple things from you. I really appreciate that. So I know it'll land mine.
Anytime you learn something from me,